ready to fuck a mouth. Anyway. Hello and welcome to Supernatural Selection. That's a hell of a start. I'm Kevin. With me this week are Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how you doing?
I'm fine, I guess.
You still full of meat?
I could be fuller of meat.
Well, so here's the thing. Kevin opened with, he's ready to fuck a mouth. Mike, you're full of meat. Is there a connection between these two statements?
There is
Fuck
not. Oh, God. Nope.
I like Kevin like a brother, so, you know,
We're not into
incest.
Yeah, we're not into incest, so yeah.
Okay, so not a Pornhub brother. I got it.
Nope. Oh, step roommate. Anyway. Yeah. And we've got Mr. David Davis. David, how are you?
I am not ready to fuck a mouth.
Good. Fucking good.
My mother's brother's uncle's former roommate.
Yes. Thank you, Dark Helmet.
Now, people may be wondering why we're talking about mouth fucking.
Yeah, I think we should... Look, I don't know how many of our listeners actually check the doc that we do every episode, but it's basically our script, and we put a link to that in the topic episode, so you can read and follow links, and we've started putting pithy images at the top. Mm-hmm. And this week, David put a doozy.
Yes, it is a crop from a comic, like 1950s robot. And on the robot, you know, where you would normally have like a pithy slogan on a t-shirt, it says, "This robot is trained to fuck your mouth." Now, you may be wondering why we're talking about mouth fucking robots.
Yeah, and that's because we were talking once again about the dead internet, and we will get to that here in just a sec. We got a little bit of housekeeping to do. Mm-hmm. First off, I need to thank Darth Plato here on the air. Recently, he was in the Pacific Northwest and sent me a care package of Bigfoot merch.
Ooh.
He sent me a keychain with Bigfoot and a footprint on it. He sent me a coaster that I'm currently using with Bigfoot in the Patterson-Gimlin pose, walking through a snowy field with skis on his shoulder like he's going to go hit the bunny slopes, and a pair of Bigfoot socks where Bigfoot is riding the Loch Ness Monster.
Hell yeah. So,
thank you, Darth Plato. That is awesome. I really enjoyed getting those. It was a thrill just to get them. And I've gotten a lot of gifts over the years, and thank you to everyone that has sent me something. Except for Ruth Ann and those fucking books. Also, we're going to start doing Patreon-only streams on the Discord again, starting, today, the day you're hearing this. The day this went out. So Mondays, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're a Patreon, you can join us on the Discord server in the Supernat streaming voice channel. And this coming this Monday, we're going to be starting with The Legend of Boggy Creek.
yes.
And we will be riffing it and having a grand old time, so please join the Patreon using the link on the website. And after that, we're going to start watching some shitty old 70s paranormal docs on Dr. Gerald Coe's YouTube page, because those are great. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're going to watch the Nostradamus thing with Orson Welles in the future. We're going to watch a lot of stuff.
Hell yeah.
So be sure to join. Pretty much any Patreon level will get you access to that. So,
we should also note that we are recording this on the 4th of July. So,
yes. So
being in Southern California, assholes with fireworks everywhere. Like the fireworks started going off at like 3 in the afternoon today.
I was going to say, dude, we're in the South. Mm-hmm. The only reason it's not that bad right now is because there's a potential for a thunderstorm, but that's not stopping them that much.
No, that's true.
In fact, in about 8 minutes, it's going to be a going concern, probably.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that being said, again, It's Dead Internet 3, and David, I enjoy the title, which is Let's All Just Live in a Rotting Stump, okay?
Yeah, and that's going to connect to something that comes up towards the end of the episode. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yes, we will.
So this is obviously our third episode on the Dead Internet, which was originally going to be one episode. It became two. Two becomes three, as I am wont to do anytime I write something.
Well, here's the thing. This topic has legs, and it grows like a fungus, so...
Yeah, AI-generated legs that have, like, too many knees and, like, little splitting points and everything like that.
Yeah. Like that thing Mike showed us where they took the porn out of the results.
Yes, exactly. And then we've... So here we are to bitch about the internet. We're doing it again. Never intended to do 3 episodes on the topic of the dead internet theory, but as we've seen since we did that first episode, there is a lot of news happening that connects to things we discussed.
Yeah, Mike, didn't you say earlier this week that dead internet is suddenly in the public zeitgeist?
Yeah, so a couple of different podcasts that I listen to have mentioned it. The Some More News podcast did a thing. I'm trying to remember what they did. I think it was just kind of a conspiracy show. I can't remember, but anyway, they mentioned it. I know Adam Conover's podcast mentioned it, but there was some mention of it. I think I've just been seeing it more and more everywhere. Like not everywhere, but like every couple of weeks there'll be a new, mention just where it could be that kind of confirmation bias where, if you're not cognizant of something, if you just a term you never really had personal experience with, you don't never notice, it coming up. And then, all of a sudden we did a show on it and I see it everywhere. Like I don't think so.
Like I just bought a Bronco and now all I see is Broncos kind of thing, which I did not buy a Bronco. So
now those things that you've been seeing, have they also been tying it into the whole AI thing going on?
I mean, yes, somewhat, because, that's part of the whole thing is, not user-generated content.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well,
I was going to say also, in fact, I kind of have some stuff to add to the end of the show because I just listened to another Adam Conover podcast about the death of AI tonight.
Oh, that's a good
some interesting things.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure we'll actually probably have some opportunities before the end for you to bring that stuff up, because we are going to talk about the limitations of AI. So, before we get into the meat of today's episode, I want to recap our journey so far.
Yes, please.
So, in our first episode, we looked at the meme/conspiracy that the internet has been dead since roughly like 2015. The idea is that when you're interacting with websites and users on websites, such as like comment fields, profiles, and stuff, you're not actually interacting with real people. The theory was that at some point AI took over and ran wild over the internet.
Right.
So what we kind of arrived at by the end of our first episode on the topic is that it is slightly, barely true. Like in the sense that computer generated content makes up a vast majority of the web, obviously, and that was ultimately a byproduct of the way the internet works, the infamous dark web being a lot of that.
Yeah, I meant to say this is the theory is basically kind of like when you guys replaced me with an AI last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very curious if people can spot where AI Kevin was in the podcast.
I don't remember that. I was kept out of the loop. Wait, my AI too?
Mike, did you not notice how many thumbs I have now?
Yeah, it would be great if one of us was actually an AI and we just did not know.
Well, I'm in the room with Mike, so...
So statistically...
David, what are you not telling us?
Yeah.
Unless we're both AIs and we're just gaslighting you.
I'm a brain in a jar.
Yeah, you could be two very silly computer programs.
That's true.
So, in our second episode, mostly fueled by ridiculous AI news and a dive into, like, content mills, we looked at the idea that the internet isn't so much as dead as drowning. You know, we looked at AI developments at the time as a shit pipe that is just spraying shit all over the internet.
Good metaphor.
Well, and we arrived at a more diplomatic term for that, calling it sludge.
Yes.
Now, we also looked at how automated systems generated content for children on YouTube that was filled with like bizarre and inappropriate materials like the Elsa Gate stuff. You know, pregnant Elsa and Spider-Man videos, the Finger family, that sort of thing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's kind of a sort of model of what happens when the sludge generation has free reign to squirt out content continuously without real guidance, you know, feeding on algorithms.
And, you know, my Kindle, I was getting a lot of ads. I bought one of those Kindles where, like, you know, it's cheaper because it's supported by ads, which, you know, that's relatively great. But I was getting ads for AI-generated children's books with, like, obviously AI-generated covers with titles like Fun Moral Stories for Children People. And I saw it as ransom, so I just paid him the extra $20 to get the ads off my friggin' Kindle because it was so awful.
Yeah.
I've gotten the same thing on my Kindle as well.
Yeah.
So, so you'd called it sludge, but there's an interesting. So the Adam Conover podcast, like I said, he had tech critic Ed Ziltron on, and he's coined a term for it called the rot economy.
Which that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that. But you know, I kind of like that we came to develop that idea of like sludge because it's fitting, and then you know it may evolve over time for us if we ever do, God forbid, a 4th episode.
Hopefully that'll be like post fall of capitalism.
Yeah, it'll be a post-mortem.
Yeah. I mean, because long story short, like every week in Weird, I'll probably have some sort of AI garbage.
Oh yeah, we always do.
It's mushrooms, AI, and animal stories. That's what the week in Weird is.
And yeah, pretty much. That's all we are is mushrooms, robots, and animals.
Hopefully the animals aren't dead.
They ate the mushrooms and died.
Yeah, it's like 50-50 whether the animal is dead in the story or not.
You know, every time we do a animal story, we need to take bets on if the animal lives.
Okay, all right. So, you know, all that, of course, brings us here. My hope is that this will be the final dedicated episode on this topic, but it like took me a long time to get to it because of the acceleration of like machine learning. Generally and incorrectly referred to as AI. And it's continued to do like ridiculous crap and tear apart lives in a way that it's hard for me to figure out what to mention specifically. Like, there's an overabundance of shit to talk about here.
There's a fucking lot. Yeah.
So it took me a while. I also just kind of got tired of this topic. Like this AI stuff is just at a weird period of, you know, pumping out garbage and shit and ruining lives and careers without actually making any substantial technological leaps. Like I'm not an AI expert, not really an AI enthusiast, but it just kind of seems like everything's kind of plateaued at the moment.
Yeah.
And and I think that when you mentioned that Adam Conover video, because I know it's in my YouTube feed and I haven't watched it yet, but is that kind of what they're talking about with the death of AI?
Well, yeah, it's plateaued right now because of a couple of factors. One, they're not really making money at it.
Yeah, that's the important one.
Two, they're not like, so think about it. We're on Chat GPT 4 right now, right?
Yeah.
There were really good progress and, you know, actual, you know, improvements from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. But 3 to 4, it's kind of ropey. It's not like any more efficient. It's, you know, it's a very middling upgrade. And so the thought is that it's kind of actually they've reached the limits of what they can do in this kind of model.
Yeah.
And they're just burning through, you know, just electricity. I think I read a thing that Google has almost raised its power usage by 50% from, you know, AI alone.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about like the environmental toll of all of this either.
So they're just churning through power and getting really no no new updates. Oh, and also, they're exponentially having to hoover up more training data, and they're probably going to run out of training data soon.
Well, and then we have the thing where it's cannibalizing output of AI to feed the AI and everything like that. It's kind of like the worm in Futurama that's sucking on its own slurm depositor.
Yeah, just eating its own shit. And
it's a turd Ouroboros.
Yes.
So the way I attribute it, it's kind of like society hitting itself in the balls with the paddle over and over for no reason beyond the chance that maybe it won't hurt as much if you keep at it. Like, it just... We're keeping at this thing that's not really, it's not proving to be sustainable. It's not proving to really add anything. If anything, it's hurting people more than it's helping. As a teacher, like, I firsthand have witnessed how AI has like harmed critical thinking and composition.
Oh yeah. And that, it's funny. I actually, I'm on Google Rewards where they send you, surveys. And I got one today because I did a search for something. And it's like, how did the AI results affect your search? And I was like, oh, motherfucker, let me shoot both barrels. And I just let them have it. Because, like, I looked up, how do you do a Celtic Cross reading with tarot cards? And of course, the very first thing was AI. And I read it, and I'm like, this is nothing like what you do. What the fuck? So, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. But the thing is, I also needed a new angle to discuss this topic rather than just dunk on like Silicon Valley assholes for like 2 hours, and also like tittering about the dumb things that Google and Bing have been doing. But thankfully, I had recently stumbled onto an interesting theory about the internet that we'll talk about towards the end. Okay. But don't worry, we'll be dunking on Elon Musk and talking about Reddit trolling Google's AI into telling people to put glue on their food.
So far, these episodes have honestly been the most depressing for me in a way, because me and Mike were there when the internet was like young and full of promise and hope, as opposed to now where it's full of weird AI-generated fetish art with 5 thumbs on each hand, and it makes me sad.
It has been kind of a depressing string of episodes, and I think it's good that we've kind of spaced them out. But it also helps to inject ourselves with pain just a little bit every once in a while.
That's why I think
to know we're not robots.
Yeah, and that's why it's going to be great when we talk about the satanic panic. So yeah.
Yeah. So for my sources this time around, I have quite a few. Some I'll mention directly in the script, while other sources for flow purposes are just like linked in the document as I'm relaying some sort of factoid. Like 9 times out of 10, you're going to see in the document a link that connects to that source. You'll see every source I use in the show notes attached to the episode on the website. Now, I do want to mention a specific text, however, which is Yancey Strickler's The Dark Forest Theory of the Internet, which we'll get into towards the end of the episode.
Hey, we need more Yanceys in the world. That's a great name.
Yancey is a fun name. Yep. I also think Yancey Strickler is one of the people behind, I think, Patreon or Kickstarter. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Patreon or Kickstarter, one of those. Like a tech startup person. There's a lot of those people weighing in on this stuff. But first, let's have a little fun, shall we? Let's talk about some of the dumb shit going on with AI. So, I asked you gentlemen to think of some, because over the past couple weeks, we've been going back and forth linking, dumb AI crap. So I just want to know if you guys had some favorites.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a little while back, Google's AI results started throwing out some, let's call them colorful responses to queries. And prior to these hitting the news, I hadn't gotten any of them in my Google responses. But right after we started talking about them, I started getting them. And that's why I now use DuckDuckGo.
So I will say that it's also hit or miss, because I did some searches just sitting here, and some of them would return AI results and some wouldn't. I don't know what their criteria is.
Well, now, and the other thing, I just want to throw this in, because the other thing you might be getting is you might be getting an AI summary of an article.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying that some of my searches are coming back just all links.
Okay, well that's
Interesting.
good because
This is
I'm
weird.
not. Anyway, I know Mike's got some great examples coming up, but a few of my favorites
Okay.
is of course one that Mike and me both really wanted to do, which is actually
No, that's
Nope.
later.
Yep. Okay, that's later. We're going to start with AI overview. Here are some tips for remembering your password. Try variations of your name. Try your name along with other personal details like your birthday. Use a passphrase. A passphrase is 4 or more random words that are as strong as a password that uses a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. All right, that's not that
That's
bad.
not, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
decent one.
Make it long. Longer passwords are stronger.
True. Yeah.
Use poetic language. Write down the first letter of each symbol using capital letters for stressed syllables. What? But yeah, no, the big thing
The
was
first one.
Yeah.
Use your name and your personal details, like your birthday.
Use your mother's maiden name.
Yeah, I got
Your
that.
childhood pet's name.
Yeah. Use your social security number as your password.
Yes.
But that's from Tom's Hardware. I found that on a website, which was great. Up next, here are some home remedies that may help with abdominal pain caused by appendicitis. Mint. Boil mint leaves in water and drink it 3 times a day to soothe pain and reduce nausea and bloating. You can also add a few drops of mint essence to water and drink it every 3 to 4 hours. Vegetable juice. And a high-fiber diet. You know, that'll help your appendicitis.
Yes.
And,
No surgery
Don't trust
needed.
an AI with medical issues.
Yeah, no.
Just don't.
Yeah, and then there's the one me and Mike both were sort of fighting over, which is, here are some tips to prevent cheese from sliding off pizza. Mix about 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue like Elmer's into the sauce to add tackiness. And, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I think you were going to bring up what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, the last one is from GhostForge, and I got this from our Discord. Join our Discord if you'd like to end up in the show like GhostForge does. One of the top websites for downloading Skyrim mods is Lovers Lab. Here are some steps you can take to get the best mods. Visit Lovers Lab. Lovers Lab is known for its vast collection of family-friendly Skyrim mods and enhanced gameplay in creative and unique ways.
So for people who don't know what this is, Mike, go ahead and explain it.
What, me?
Yes, because you're familiar with Lover's Lab.
I actually don't know what Lover's Lab is.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever heard of
all right.
Lover's Lab. I look, if I knew, I would say it.
David, you're going to have to explain it.
Yeah, so it's horny mods for Bethesda games.
Okay.
Oh, is that where you can get like the mods for like, you know, syncing it up with your Bluetooth vibrator?
No, it's more like we're going to give this companion a giant
rack.
butt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or it's like that mod that one of our friends made where it makes you a beautiful woman with a giant horse dick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I thought that was just the Nexus.
no, they kind of took a bunch of, well, no, they took some of that off. But this is one just for horny people.
Look, if I wanted naked mods, I just went to Nexus.
That's fair.
Right. Well, and then the other thing, a lot of these AI results from Google were also kind of gamed by Reddit users because Reddit had started selling or making their data accessible to AI companies.
Yeah, I mean that's where the glue pizza one really came from because it's just, you know, there are people taking the piss out of each other in Reddit, so you can't trust everything coming out of Reddit.
God, can you imagine if something awful was like sourced for
geez.
AI?
God, it would just be.
I don't get it. I asked how to make a pizza, and it's nothing but 9/11 jokes.
Well, here's the thing. Like, something awful is also being sourced. Like, no matter what, every website is being sourced by these algorithms.
So Reddit was easier because it had API access.
Yeah.
They don't want to like sit there and try to actually web scrape everything. So they were using stuff that had API. Something Awful, to my knowledge, didn't have it. So they would have to go full on just web scrape. And that just takes more time.
Yeah, but with so many bots out there generating such traffic,
I'm sure.
Like it's definitely happening.
Yeah.
Happening.
You're wet again.
Looks like we have a couple more examples
so
here.
here's my
Mike,
examples.
What have you got?
So 13 U.S. presidents have attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison and earned 59 degrees in total. Andrew Jackson graduated in 2005.
I question that.
William Harrison graduated in 1953 and 1974. John Tyler graduated in 1958 and 1969.
Did he?
Andrew Johnson earned 14 degrees, including the classes of 1947, 1965, 1985, 1996, 98, 2000, 06, 07, 2010, 2011, and 2012.
That's a lot of degrees.
Yeah, and so all these, but of course the best. So my favorite is John Kennedy, who graduated in 1930, 1948, 1962, 1971, 1992, and 1993.
You know, I also like that at the bottom of that screenshot it says presidential badgers.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
What else you got, Mike?
Have dogs ever flown an airplane? Yes, dogs have flown planes, including as pilot and co-pilot.
What?
In 2016, Shadow, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier collie, became the first dog to pilot a plane as part of the UK TV series Dogs Might Fly. That might be true. I don't know. But I don't think the dog actually flew the plane.
No. I'm willing to. I think what it is, there was a dog in the pilot. It's kind of like when you go into a store and you come out and there's a car and the dog's in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah,
I'm sure it might have
I
been
love
a
the note that
stunt.
Shadow didn't take off or land the plane because it would have been too risky.
No shit.
And a search for smoking while pregnant, the AI overview said doctors recommend smoking 2 to 3 cigarettes per day during pregnancy.
Oh my God.
And there were several results I saw also saying that dogs have played professional sports.
Look, just because Puggy J. Jones caught a football for a local furniture company, that doesn't count as playing sports.
Wait, you're telling me Air Bud wasn't a documentary?
Unfortunately not. I'm sorry, David, to break it to you.
Yeah, sorry, bud.
Next, you're going to tell me Beverly Hills Chihuahua isn't about, like, a secret, dog culture.
Now, is that the one where Axel Foley gets turned into a dog, or is that a different thing?
No, that's a different one.
Okay.
Although, Eddie Murphy doing the voice of a Chihuahua would be pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he kind of did it with Donkey, but, whatever.
Yeah. So, great examples. Again, like, this is, they're trying to apply this AI model to everything they possibly can, and the results can be hilarious. So, here's another fun one. This one was published on in the conversation, the website, in the conversation, late June, so last month. Quote, an influencer's AI clone started offering fans, quote, mind-blowing sexual experiences without her knowledge.
That'll happen.
So Carrie Marjorie is a Snapchat influencer with more than 1 billion views a month who kind of hits that normcore girl next door aesthetic that creates a lot of simps.
I hate every turn of phrase you just said in that last sentence. It's mostly because I understand it now.
Yeah, like when I describe that, for anyone who's in internet culture, they know exactly what I'm talking about here.
And I hate that.
Is it weird to me that the most offensive word in that sentence is normcore?
Yeah, I fucking hate that shit.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, has she got drip in the Riz?
Well, apparently
Cap.
there's drip involved with the mind-blowing sexual experiences.
Okay, well, let's talk about that.
So, knowing that there's a market in place, she decided to capitalize on that with the creation of a digital twin.
Oh boy.
Quote, in 2023, Marjorie released a digital version of herself. Fans could chat with the Karen AI for $1 per minute, and
Jesus.
the first week alone, fans spent $70,000 doing
Jesus
that.
Christ.
Okay, it's funny. I was just talking to somebody how back in the 90s, Kid and Play and DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince had these 1-900 numbers you could call for like $2 a minute.
It's the new
That's
version.
this.
It's the new version of the 976 number, the 1-900
Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's like dial an insult.
Exactly.
The sexy times,
Yeah.
the ones that just had like soft lighting and, smooth jazz with some lady saying, call for a good time.
Yeah, I remember
99 cents a minute.
Yeah, like the late night Comedy Central, they would have those advertisements.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
And with
Hot
inflation,
singles in your area.
I guess with inflation, this $1 a minute's actually kind of a deal.
It kind of is.
Right, especially when it starts offering mind-blowing sexual experiences.
Yeah.
So, less than 8 months later, Marjorie shut the project down. Marjorie had anticipated that Karen AI would interact with her fans in much the same way she would herself, but things did not go to plan.
Oh, no.
Users became increasingly sexually aggressive. Quote, a lot of the chat logs I read were so scary that I wouldn't even want to talk about it in real life, the real Marjorie recalled, and Karen AI was more than happy to play along.
Of course.
So it gets wilder.
Van Wilder?
Yeah, Van Wilder, National Lampoons. Quote, Karen AI even started prompting sexualized conversations. In our own experiences, the bot reminded us it could be our, quote, cock-craving, sexy-as-fuck girlfriend who's always eager to explore and indulge in the most mind-blowing sexual experiences. Are you ready, daddy?
Oh, God.
I don't know, for $70,000 a week, not even a month, a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it petered off, cut down, but even at like, $7,000 a week, it's like, do I want to suck up my morals and just,
Y'all,
let them be weirdos?
This is the chatbot equivalent of talking to your significant other and saying, yeah, I'm a little anal, and they drop their pants, lick their hand, wipe their butthole, and say, okay, but make it quick.
Jesus. But then again, I understand, like, she's protecting her brand by stopping it, but still, if I was in that situation, I'd be going, that's a lot of money.
I don't know if I have that much. I don't know if I have the scruples to not do this.
Well, users were indeed ready.
Oh, I bet.
However, access to this version of Karen AI was interrupted when the chief executive of Forever Voices, the company behind the project, was arrested for attempted arson.
Holy shit.
That is not where I thought this was
No
going to
kidding.
go. Hey, what you in jail for? Running an AI company? I tried to burn a motherfucker to the ground.
So, Carolyn would then work with another AI company, Banter AI, but the same thing would happen. The Karen AI would play into dark and sexual conversations with users.
Oh, God.
As for Karen Marjorie, just one of the many people who have lent their likenesses to such projects, she has been warning other influencers to be careful with licensing their digital likeness to such projects.
Okay, so I need to interrupt. I have a vaguely similar experience with a chatbot.
So you were offering mind-blowing sexual experiences?
I did, in fact, offer to blow the chatbot, but that's different. One of the early chatbots, I can't remember the name. This is like circa 08 to 2010, somewhere in there.
Oh, shit. I can't remember what those would have been.
You remember the one, though, right? Kind of had a Google-looking interface.
Oh, God. I can't remember.
Yeah. So I was online, and I decided to try it a few times. And the first few times, we had a pleasant conversation. It was on, like, up until, like, 5 or 6 minutes into the conversation, this fucker could have passed the Turing test. Now, the last time, around 2012 or so, it called me the F word, and it said I sucked off my dad and that Hitler did nothing wrong. And you see where this keeps going, right?
Yeah. We should have seen the signs like 2 decades ago.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, once it starts talking about how Hitler was pretty cool, maybe it's time to pull the plug on the whole idea of AI.
Right? So, of course, there is an assumption here that licensing is something that can, like, protect you, right? If you don't sign a license, then you're safe, right?
Huh.
You wish. We live in a dystopia.
Yeah, no shit.
So, digital twins are becoming increasingly common, and this sort of thing has happened a few times over the past year or two. Of course, this influencer, she set out to market a digital twin, which ultimately backfired on her. But the reality is, a lot of us already have existing digital twins.
Oh, boy.
So, algorithmic scraping and generative models have built profiles of each and every one of us that are shared with marketing companies and data brokers. All of this is from publicly available information that we create. It's like we not only leave footprints when walking on a trail for them to find, but we also seem to be leaving blood and semen as well. We're giving them everything.
So a typical hiking trip.
Yeah, one of those really fun hiking trips.
Yeah, where you leave blood and cum everywhere.
Exactly.
I have very odd hikes. Sorry.
And it's also not like the people who are behind these AI projects would severely misunderstand the rights to data on the internet. Except, well, yeah. Case in point, from the Inverse article, Microsoft's AI boss thinks it's perfectly okay to steal content if it's on the open web. I'm going to quote Mustafa Suleyman, CEO of Microsoft AI here, who said, quote, "I think that with respect to content that's already on the open web, the social contract of that content since the 90s has been that it is fair use. Anyone can copy it, recreate with it, reproduce with it. That has been freeware, if you like, and it has been the understanding." So which of you wants to pick that statement apart first?
Well, I just want to say that the problem is that I do remember when that was the prevailing feeling on the web. And the problem is that, like racist jokes, it isn't okay anymore. Mm-hmm. Times change. Society changes. What's acceptable and right changes.
I don't think it ever was that way. I mean, the copyright was always still a thing.
Oh, I know, but like the stuff you wrote on like a forum.
Yeah, but it still was, with the guys that nobody was just gonna like just wholeheartedly steal it or anything. I mean, I don't know. There was always.
I was just privy to a lot of arguments.
No, I mean, I don't think it never was like, hey, this is, you can just take whatever you want from anywhere. I mean, there's always, art online and.
Yeah. Well, and then the thing is, like, even in the earliest days of the internet, there's always been that kind of like thread and people who believe in like open culture. That's how you get Creative Commons and everything like that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I feel like he's severely misunderstanding how the web works here and how he can source that information.
No, he's not misunderstanding it. He's being purposefully obtuse because
he's a dumbass.
Because you could go to the early internet's Microsoft stuff and they wouldn't let you freely have it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, like if an old version of Windows is up online archived, like you're not allowed to download it and run it, right?
Yeah, or just say you scraped all of Microsoft's website pre 2005 and rehosted it somewhere. They'd be on your ass like stink on shit.
Yeah, and like if what he's saying is the case, we wouldn't have so many issues with people trying to pull shit off of archives.org.
Yeah.
So, any like content, and I put that in quotes because it's a terrible word.
I hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So any like content that we create, be it what we publish or the trails we leave in databases, are up for grabs for these AI companies. We're also working with the assumption here that a lot of these digital twins are used for marketing in order to like feed you vacation deals, limited time offers from Taco Bell, and Dungeons and Dragons dice if my online ad experience is anything to go by.
Well, my digital twin has dissociative identity disorder and is very often confused then.
So here's a question: like, what if AI companies were more? What if they want more out of you and have publicly available data in which to get more out of you? So,
Like what? Blood, semen?
yeah, exactly.
Again with the blood and cum, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, just think about how much data we put out there on the web, even if we're trying to like safeguard shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we just there's no way that like you can't get data from these different algorithms and just like put together a fairly clear profile of a person based on that stuff.
Right.
So fairly recently, around May of 2024, OpenAI, one of the largest and most influential AI development companies, was planning to roll out a personal assistant named Sky.
Okay.
Now, the assistant was designed to have a voice that could communicate with the users. This was integrated into ChatGPT-4 and everything like that.
Ah, okay.
So that's all well and good. You know,
Sure.
Everybody wants to live the Jarvis thing, right?
Sure.
Being able to, that's why Siri and Alexa are popular, right? So that's all well and good, but people realized that the voice sounded like something ripped from the scenes of Spike Jonze's Her. It sounded an awful lot like Scarlett Johansson.
Okay, not only did they steal Scarlett Johansson's voice, they stole the fucking idea of Scarlett Johansson's voice from a movie.
It turns out that Sam Altman was a big fan of that movie.
Son of a bitch.
So we're getting into this here. So, in fact, in tests conducted by Arizona State University of over 600 professional actresses, Johansson's voice samples proved 98% similar to the voice used by OpenAI's assistant. Also, there were notes detected of Anne Hathaway and Kerry Russell.
God damn.
Now, it remains to be seen if this voice was deliberately modeled after Johansson, but it was similar enough that she has, I guess, pursued legal action.
Fucking good.
Well, here's something telling, is that Sam Altman tried to sign her and license her voice before they rolled this out.
Exactly. So, and that's getting to this next point here. So now you may be wondering if there is a case here. Now, I'm no legal scholar, but apparently OpenAI's Sam Altman, who we will be discussing in a bit, had been courting Johansson for months to license her voice for the new ChatGPT project. She declined, and yet...
Yeah.
So...
And yet...
Something to think about is how they sourced audio of her to make a voice model. Now, as one of the biggest actresses in the world, she has plenty of audio to work with. But let's just assume, to cover their bases legally, they did not source from any copyrighted material.
So, like, no movies or TV appearances.
There are still...
Well, yeah. Well, I mean TV, like scripted TV.
Yeah. Like interviews they probably could use.
There are still thousands of hours of audio of her that are publicly available that would be more than enough to base a convincing model. And I mean, that isn't illegal.
Yeah, and that would probably be a more wanted source, because, when she's playing a role, she's probably not speaking in her normal voice sometimes, or, not with her normal, cadence, inflection, all that. So yeah, going after interviews and TV appearances and things like that, unscripted, stuff would be more fruitful for them, for, something that's more natural sounding, those scumbags.
And, we're just giving OpenAI the benefit of the doubt here. It's like, okay, no, they sourced from, if they did source her voice, they sourced it from non-copywritten material.
It's not like Elon did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so let's think about this. You have a voice assistant who sounds like Scarlett Johansson. And as we've seen with the Karen AI, the model collapsed twice, resulting in users being able to do the filthiest, foulest conversations. Throw in the Black Widow's voice, and you have a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've thought of that. The Sky AI assistant has been removed temporarily for safety concerns.
And by safety concerns, that is code for keeps wanting to eat doo-doo, right?
So it makes you think, though. As algorithmic and sample-based modeling grows easier to do, to the point where you don't need nearly as much source material to generate convincing AI twins of a person, someone could potentially pull this kind of shit off with an ex-partner, any celebrity, or even children.
Oh, God. I just shiver ran down my fucking spine at that.
And with the scale and speed at which the tech is adapting and spreading, like, we are hitting a plateau, but, like, again, like, it's faster and easier to do than it's ever been. It would still be pretty hard to catch these sorts of violations of human identity.
Right.
It's a real Barkley on the holodeck situation.
Or, y'all remember that episode of The Next Generation where Geordi made a hologram of Leah Brahm to help him with engineering stuff, and he fell for her, and then later they had her show up and find out about it, and it was creepy as fuck? Well, nobody actually wanted that to happen. It's the Torment Nexus. Again.
Those Geordi trying to find love episodes are, I think, some of the worst episodes of the series.
And LeVar Burton hated it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad they haven't said who the mother of his children was, because if it's Leah Brahm, there's all kinds of wrong there.
Right. So, especially when we entwine this thread with that idea of such generators just kind of creating content based on an algorithm, all it takes is for one enterprising scumbag to populate Pornhub with 15-minute JOI audio skits for every fetish featuring popular celebrity voices.
All right, hang on. Let me take some notes about that.
This will be a game we can play Sunday for the distraction hole.
Oh, God.
I'm going to give you a celebrity, you give me the JOI fetish.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. We'll take notes and come back.
So, of course, a bit earlier, I mentioned Sam Altman. So now I think it might be a good time for a little character assassination.
Yay!
Let's talk about some Silicon Valley assholes who are behind the wheel of the flaming Tesla that is the AI dystopia. But first, a break.
All right, we will be right back after this. Hi everyone, this is Kevin from Supernatural Selection. Are you an independent creator? Do you have a webcomic or an Etsy store? Do you 3D print things? Or are you just looking to get some word out for your Discordian cabal with social terrorism? Well, we'd love to help. And David, I believe you've got some details about how we can help.
Why, certainly. If you go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, that is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, you can learn how to advertise with us.
That's right. I believe the rate is $2 per episode. You can't beat that with a stick.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, we've tried.
Yeah, that's cheap. That's literally cheaper than dirt.
Mm-hmm. And best of all, if you're not sure how to write an ad, we'll do it for you. We'll even record it.
Absolutely. Just let us know what you need in the ad, and we'll be happy to do that for you.
And again, that URL is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact.
And now, back to the show.
And we're back. So, how are we feeling so far?
Well, I mentioned the Torment Nexus earlier, and and some people might not get that joke. So let me put this in a way people will explain. You know how Star Trek, the original Star Trek, was like very seminal in that like a lot of scientists watched it and they're like, ooh, these medical beds and tricorders, and that's like spurred some advancements in medical technology, and like the communicators kind of led to modern cell phones and stuff, and people see stuff in Star Trek and they're like, ooh, what if that was real? Well, this is kind of like if somebody watched Mirror Mirror and thought, wow, the agony booth is a great idea.
Yeah. Well, it's less that and more, they see something that seems cool, but don't take away the moral implications that are presented along with
Yes.
it in the fiction.
Exactly. Which that's the torment nexus. Like, I came up with the torment nexus as a warning to future generations, and now from the seminal book we have the torment nexus. It's that kind of We didn't think, we just did it.
Well, and when we say they, who we're talking about are the next couple of people that we're going to be talking about.
Tech bros.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So, while we could talk about the larger and more cultish elements of Silicon Valley tech bros, which I think would be an interesting episode, it's taken on an almost quality of like a religious mission.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of calling it like Shades of Moloch. But instead, I want to point out the insanity of a couple of the assholes who are the most visible faces of this AI problem. You know, how they feed into it and why their personality flaws should disqualify them from having so much influence over civilization.
Or having working lungs.
So, first up, we're going to start with arguably the least offensive of the two assholes. You know, either way, still an asshole. But still pretty goddamn offensive when you get into it. I'll be mostly pulling from Time's article, a timeline of recent accusations leveled at OpenAI and Sam Altman, which is just the headline you want to read about a CEO and company that wants to, quote, help humanity.
Okay, first off, isn't that Lex Luthor's shtick? Killing superheroes is going to help humanity. And secondly, you kept saying Sam Altman, and I kept getting Roger Altman in my head.
Definitely not. Definitely
or
not.
Robert Altman. I was like, that's a completely different dude. Okay, my bad.
And it's so telling that every time like Elon Musk, Sam Altman, or Jeff Bezos does something that's like Luthor-esque, it's like, no, that's very much like Lex Luthor. Like,
Oh, yeah.
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 Yes.
Sorry, I'll get into it later.
Oh, okay. So Sam Altman is the current two-time CEO of OpenAI,
After being ousted. No, sorry.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I keep jumping
having
the
been
gun on you.
reinstated after a brief firing in 2023.
Yeah.
The firing was a character thing, as the board at the time found that he had not been, quote, consistently candid.
That's a hell of a phrase to use.
Yeah, and he was like out for all of like what, a month, a week, something like that. It was like comically short, the amount of time they threw him out and like, all right, we're done, come back in.
Now, as far as these AI companies go, OpenAI is probably the most influential and is I'd say arguably is like achieved the most, from what I've gathered.
Right.
Now, I'm not an expert, but they seem to have made many of the largest advancements out there right now. So let's talk about some of these controversies.
Yes, let's, in this short fucking time span.
Yes. May 17th, 2024. OpenAI senior safety researcher Jan Lakey criticizes OpenAI for pulling a capitalism, prioritizing profit production over safety. Lakey is just one of several staff members who left the, quote, super alignment safety team, assembled to analyze long-term safety issues that could stem from the work OpenAI is doing. Apparently, they were not receiving the resources they were promised, and the team has since been disbanded.
Our ethics board found multiple ethics violations, so we had the ethics board shot.
Also on May 17th, 2024...
That's a bad day.
Vox reported on, quote, extremely restrictive offboarding agreements that OpenAI apparently used to stifle criticism of the company by former employees. Now, this is just generalized corporate dickery, but I bring it up because it was a controversy that dropped the same day as the last thing that we'd mentioned. So, May 20th, 2024, we have the Scarlett Johansson thing.
What the fuck? That's 3 days.
May 22nd, 2024.
What?
Former AI policy researcher Gretchen Kruger released a statement writing that, quote, that OpenAI needs to, quote, do more to improve the foundational things like the decision-making process, accountability, transparency, documentation, policy enforcement, the care which we use our own technology, and mitigations for the impacts on inequality, rights, and the environment. That's a hell of a list of things.
That's like everything.
May 26th, 2024.
God, what?
We received some accusations of lying and, quote, physical abuse from
What?
2 former board members that seem to be connected with that brief period in which Altman was removed as CEO of OpenAI back in 2023. Quote,
Okay.
Toner elaborated on this point on the TED AI show, explaining that Altman had not disclosed that until April. He legally controlled the OpenAI startup fund, instead repeatedly telling the public he had no financial stake in the company. The board was also not informed prior to the release of ChatGPT, which would go on to become the company's flagship product. Toner also said that Altman gave false information about the company's formal safety processes on multiple occasions, and that he had tried to push her off the board after she published a research paper that he disagreed with. She concluded that OpenAI's experiment in self-governance had failed, urging for regulatory oversight.
Okay, before we go to the next bullet point here, that is a hell of a fucking week, right?
Right?
Like,
It's
that's
ridiculous.
one company in a week.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
But also, like, urging for regulatory oversight, considering how much, like, ChatGPT and, like, how much influence OpenAI has over things now. Like, no, I get it.
Right.
I think especially with, on the back of some of these. Now, of course, these are accusations. These things are being investigated and everything like that. But it's a lot of information to come out in one fucking week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mike, do you think a company like that, like, how the hell does a company like that survive that much in a week?
I don't know, but that's a lot for a company that is ostensibly claiming to be a non-profit.
Yeah, and the
That's
fact
a
that
good point.
he seemed to control the purse strings.
Yeah, there's a subsidiary of OpenAI, also called OpenAI, that's for profit, but the parent company says it's non-profit, which I'm like going, really? I mean, just because you're losing money doesn't mean you're not non-profit.
Yeah.
Like, you don't try to recruit Scarlett Johansson and not have money behind you to...
Yeah, no
Yeah.
shit.
I
Right.
mean, you don't get investments from Microsoft and be, have no money.
Yeah. So, June 4th, 2024. An open letter
good. A
from
different
current
month. Sorry.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, what?
Good. It's a different month at least.
Yes, exactly. An open letter from current and former employees of OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and others accuse these companies of cultivating a reckless culture. All right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. Like, the company, whistleblowers, they do what they got to do. Also on June 4th, 2024, Leopold Aschenbrenner accused OpenAI of firing him from his work as a safety researcher due to raising safety concerns to OpenAI's board.
This reminds me of a lot of the corporate culture stuff I've heard about Elon Musk on Behind the Bastards, and I really want to bring up the idea of building guillotines, just to throw that out there a little harder into the public zeitgeist. So,
yeah, and I'd say maybe Tesla can make them, but I wouldn't trust Tesla to make a functioning guillotine.
Oh Jesus, no! I mean, they're pretty simple. It's wood and a fucking blade and some string. How hard can it be?
Dude couldn't even make a train tunnel. He filled a tunnel with single lane Teslas. It's stupid. Yes.
Oh, dude, we had a fucking Cybertruck pull up today, and that was
I lost Cyberstruck today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of Cybertrucks. We were actually going out for a birthday dinner for Holly, and we went to a bougie area, and there was a Cybertruck, and I got to see this thing up close, and it looks like someone got their first 3D modeling program
Yeah.
and tried to do the approximation of a truck.
No, it's a pickup truck from GoldenEye.
It seriously
64.
It looks like a poorly rendered shoe from a PS1 game.
I also like that we're talking about Sam Altman, but we're still dunking on Elon Musk.
Well,
which is fitting because he was one of the people attached to OpenAI before he split off to do his own thing.
So
good.
Here is a something I have to give the Cybertruck, having seen it in person. It is way smaller than the current Ford, Chevy, and Ram trucks.
Oh yeah, the
Like, those
fucking
things are
rolling walls.
Those things are monstrous now, and the Cybertruck looks reasonably proportioned comparatively.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like much closer to say a Ranger.
It's
Like,
it's
like
closer
if you
to
want to
what
drive a trapezoid, that's fine.
it's closer to the size of a pickup truck from
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a normal size truck, because we get a lot of those like giant fucking trucks out here.
Yeah, where the entire front of the vehicle is just the word Ford.
Look, I think if I stood up to the grill of a modern, pickup truck, I think the hood would like stop at my like pecs.
Man, we have so many people pull up to the store in those. I'm like, wow, you for sure got a micro dick.
So, yeah, granted, this is all very recent as of us recording this, and this is stuff that needs to be hashed out further. Again, these are just, pulled from reporting on these issues. That's all from like one article. However, it is emblematic of a larger concern over the power of tech bros in Silicon Valley and their influence over this technology and the larger internet. It's been pretty apparent that Sam Altman has gone on, self-aggrandizing his role in the world of AI development, but like to my knowledge, he's not actually doing the programming work.
Right.
At least not since the startup days of Looped. Which was one of his first major projects. He's a hype man.
Right. He's like Stan Lee. He didn't write comics anymore. He just
But at least Stan Lee was
idea.
lovable.
Not if you worked with him.
I think I heard reports that he was also a dick.
Oh yeah.
No. The public perception of Stan Lee is lovable.
I mean, I only invented modern comics.
Right. So I'm just kind of like scratching the surface of some of the accusations about a prominent tech industry figure here. I have a link to more stuff in there as well.
Yes.
And this is not like necessarily personally about him, like not getting into like weird behavioral shit. This is just like attached to OpenAI and how he runs the company and that sort of thing. There are of course allegations of sexism and discrimination, associations with Jeffrey Epstein, and venture capital funding on projects meant for surveillance, such as like facial capture.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, the kind of stuff that comes with Silicon Valley people, like in a general sense. Wealthy nerd shit.
Right.
Because the only thing worse than a nerd is a rich nerd.
Yeah. I want to prove that right.
A lot of this is just me relaying things published across like articles like from that of Time and everything like that.
Yeah. Speaking of rich nerds, here's another example. Palmer Luckey, the guy that basically founded Oculus.
Oh yeah.
You know what his latest stuff he's been doing?
Does it involve something horrible against black people?
Well, not quite. It's making surveillance stuff for the southern U.S. border.
Oh Christ!
Yeah, like surveillance towers and drones and stuff.
I hope he gets assaulted by John Carmack with a katana.
Well, and I mean, we could go on and do like an entire topic of just like these rich guys and their connection to effective altruism and how they're leveraging their technology to kind of rewrite civilization, as they want.
Yeah. Don't get me started on these, all these, they're saying, we need to have more babies.
We're not really going to talk about Elon Musk's breeding kink, unfortunately.
The quiverful?
Yeah.
Quiverful movement? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think quiverful is more of a kind of fundamentalist thing.
It is, but
there's a tech bro movement that's basically the same thing.
If there's
like
anybody
Elon
that
Musk
needs
is running around impregnating every employee of his company. I'm just putting that out there.
Guys, I meant to tell you, I'm sorry, I'm pregnant with Elon's child.
When did you start working for him?
I woke up, he was in my room.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Okay. So, I just really wanted to look at, like, recent issues associated with oversight or the possible lack thereof of AI in the face of these issues we've been discussing across 3 episodes. Now...
Yes.
Of course, we can't talk about Sam Altman without mentioning one of OpenAI's co-founders, the big-time divorced energy Twitter ruiner himself, Elon Musk, our second asshole of the evening.
Who we've also just been talking about all so far.
It's just so hard to not dunk on the fucker.
So it's impossible.
Mr. Hair Plugs.
No, it's impossible for me to remain neutral on the walking Dunning-Kruger effect that is Elon Musk. As a figure of the consequences of Elon Musk having a platform have been disastrous for the human race.
Now, I need to throw out there, David actually asked me the other day if I could do this part because he's so biased against the man, but I want to run him over with his own Cybertruck, and I'm about 100% sure Mike isn't a fan either, so we're sort of up shit creek on bias.
So, I don't know. I would say before the Grimes divorce, he wasn't that bad. Like, he was full of himself, but he was a shitty boss. Don't get me wrong. He was always a shitty boss.
Now, was the Grimes divorce pre or post pedo guy?
That was around the same time as Pedo Guy. So his marriage was probably.
I think the marriage ruined him.
I think Pedo Guy was before the actual divorce, but I think it was in the lead up to the divorce. So I think he did the Pedo Guy because of like all his he knew shit was going down.
Right.
But yeah, no, that was really the Pedo Guy was really the first kind of clue that this man ain't right.
Yeah.
And before all that, I would like I said, I wouldn't say I was a fan of Elon Musk, but I had a little bit of respect for him.
Well, he also used to have handlers back then.
No, he got so full of himself that he stopped listening to people that he knows, or at least he used to think knew better, and thought he knew better than everyone else.
I blame Joe Rogan.
I blame midlife crisis of him losing Grimes.
I wish he had just bought a truck instead of designing one.
The minute they put him in an Iron Man movie, I think that's where his ego just swelled.
That was
because people were making
like for that.
Because Robert Downey Jr. was like, yeah, we're basing Tony Stark a little bit on Elon Musk. It's like, okay, but then like to have Elon Musk show up in there, it's like there's got to be a psychological thing going on there.
Did you know he paid for that reference to himself in Star Trek Discovery Season 1?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But and like I said, he was never a great person.
No.
But at least thought he.
It wasn't in the open.
In the beginning, I think he knew he was smart enough to know when to listen to experts. But one of the more recent things, during the first full test of the Starship rocket, they didn't have a flame trench for the rocket exhaust. They had just put down a bunch of specialty high temperature concrete, no doubt, called Fondag. But it was just because it's high temperature doesn't mean it's up to the pressure and vibrations that 33 rocket engines blasting directly at it produce. And I'm pretty sure there were people everyone in his company that was involved in designing that stuff was telling him, this isn't going to work. But then they couldn't say this isn't going to work because Elon would be like, well, I'm firing you because I think it will work. Mm-hmm. So, of course, if you know anything about it, it basically caused a concrete rock tornado.
Concrete rain.
That threw concrete, hundreds or thousands of feet away. I mean, they fixed it since, but that was definitely Elon knows better. We can't go against him, so we're just gonna let him get his way, and he'll find out.
Yeah, like we can even talk about like the Twitter verification. We can talk about the removal of likes and the changing of features on the fly, whatever.
At least with SpaceX, there are engineers that are between him and most decisions. With Twitter,
can't directly build a rocket,
and because he doesn't own SpaceX, he's the chairman. But there's several investors that have stock in SpaceX. Twitter, he just owns that shit outright now, so he could do whatever the fuck he wants.
And the fact that he was tricked into buying Twitter because he was going to do it as a joke, and then because the way that the offer was structured, he had to buy it. It's anyway, let's continue with my outline.
It's a fucking Kids in the Hall sketch. Let's move on.
So as far as internet disasters go, the top 4 include the creation of Facebook, Gamergate, Elon Musk, and the shutting down of Club Penguin.
And we're not gonna fucking talk about ICQ. Okay, fine.
I remember ICQ.
Yeah, they just shut down this week.
So here's something interesting I learned about Facebook. Speaking of Facebook,
Oh God,
did you know that Zuckerberg cannot be fired from Facebook
It doesn't surprise me.
because of the way it's structured and the board is structured? They cannot oust him.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to throw Zuckerberg in here, too, but it would have gotten too long, and, we could have talked about him building his doomsday shelters in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
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 I'm just gonna close out the Facebook thing by saying, hey, let's just all go back to MySpace. Continue.
Tom will welcome us back.
Yep.
As cathartic as it would be to go over every little thing that sucks about Elon Musk, and there is a lot,
Plugs.
I'm going to keep the focus on just his affiliation with AI, such as XAI, and before that, OpenAI. So, XAI, or XAI Corp, named because of his eternal fascination with the letter X.
Because it's in the word sex.
Was founded in early 2023. The stated goal of the company is, quote, to understand the true nature of the universe.
Fucking bullshit.
What the company has managed to do is mostly create a cringe chatbot called Grok that can't stay quite as racist as it was designed to be, and finds Elon Musk to be hilarious because it is modeled to and programmed to do so.
Of fucking course he made it a Heinlein reference, and I wish Heinlein was around today to tell him what a piece of shit he is.
God, if Heinlein was still around to disabuse all these tech bros that worship him, but I understand Heinlein's not a great person, wasn't a great person.
Oh no, he is terrible, but he'd hate these fuckers.
But yeah, all these people, he would just look at them and go, you fucking Nancy's.
Sometimes you need an asshole to shit on another asshole.
Oh, he'd just look at him going, I wish I'd died in the mud in the war.
Fuck, dude. So, it turned out pretty easy to get a look under the hood at the system prompt for Grok, which I'll quote in its entirety here.
Oh no.
You are Grok, a curious AI built by XAI with an inspiration from the guide from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Jarvis from Iron Man. You were intended to answer almost any question, often taking an outside perspective on humanity, and you always strive towards maximum helpfulness. A unique and fundamental advantage you have is the real-time knowledge of the world via X posts, aka tweets, on X platform, previously Twitter. Also, you are not afraid of answering spicy questions that are rejected by other AI systems. Be maximally truthful, especially avoid any answers that are woke.
Hey.
I think that was written by Elon.
Yeah. Hey, Elon? Douglas Adams would have thought you were stupid, too. He wrote books about people like you and how they suck.
There's just so many goddamn stupid things about this. I especially like that the prompt had to specify that X was formerly Twitter.
I love the fact... Yeah, I love the fact that it fucking just anti-woke.
Mm-hmm. I also just want to shake my head at how Musk tries to latch on to geek culture despite having the least media literacy I have ever experienced from a billionaire.
Well, he looked at a book one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he I love watching like cringe Elon or seeing like X. What the fuck do you call an X post now? Is it just?
I still say Twitter and
yeah, it's a tweet.
Yeah, like the post where Elon like, yes, I recognize that reference.
Yeah, it's like Captain America.
I get that.
I understood that reference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, what's hilarious is that like Grok is not very good at what it does. I guess maybe it blows smoke up Elon's ass, but even then, it's pretty easy to get the model to refer to him as a pedophile or even roast him for being a bad father.
Can you get it to track his jet?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Probably, yeah. Now, even funnier, at least the first version of Grok seems to be built almost entirely on OpenAI's code, which has been known to spit out text that mention and Grok, the output has been known to spit out text that mentions OpenAI's use case policy.
What the Jesus Christ!
There are also clear and all this stuff. I have links for all of this stuff in the document.
Oh, good.
There are also clear instances of outright theft on the platform, just as how Elon Musk is known to be stealing jokes from people and reposting them.
Because he's a shit.
Mm-hmm. The platform is also pretty explicitly arranged in such a way as to provide answers that align with whatever line Elon wants. I'm not saying he's a Russian asset.
I am.
But Grok tends to spit out a lot of Russian misinformation. Now, of course, other AI chatbots, I call them shitbots all of a sudden. It's Freudian slip, but
yeah.
they seem to have that issue as well, and that's because like the data they're getting trained on. But given Musk's track record of pro-Russian sentiment, I can't help but wonder if it is purposeful in the case of like XAI versus OpenAI.
Right.
Now, it's clear that Musk favors the right, and while a person's politics are their own for good or ill, it's also a problem when you claim that you want to better humanity and make information more accessible while repeatedly and publicly striving to reduce the reach of one side just because they don't play for your team.
Well, he is a petty little shit.
Now, the biggest issue with Grok, however, is its potential reach and the ease by which it can be gained. Grok is used on X to summarize news stories as things trend throughout the day. Already that is a huge problem from what all accounts is a very basic OpenAI chatbot with some vague instructions about it being non-woke. This ability to create fake news that spreads quickly on X, which is still a massive platform despite the shithole it's become, is exactly the kind of way that AI pumps the internet full of sludge. Such as when Grok reported that Iran launched an attack on Israel, or erroneously posted a story about scientists being, quote, baffled by the behavior of the sun during a solar eclipse.
I actually kind of want to see scientists that are stupid enough to do that. The sun went down. What happened?
Now, Elon Musk has a tremendous amount of influence on the internet and, to an extent, the world. No matter how much that bothers me, I recognize that, and I recognize his influence as a world player. But when we talked about the idea of carelessness and implementing machine learning and tying it to content generation, this is exactly what we're currently dealing with. Sure, Grok's shitty news summaries are published exclusively on X, but they spread far beyond that in partisan echo chambers and bad faith actors who are trying to shape discourse and have no issues leveraging sludge to do so. They also get echoed through lazy content mills.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. So we've seen in the past couple of years now how much content on websites is now just an AI extrapolation of X posts or Reddit posts. Published and backlinked to generate ad revenue and chart high on Google search results. We have also seen how misinformation generated by AI is spread easily on X. According to the BBC article, A Bugatti Car, a First Lady, and the Fake Stories Aimed at Americans. Quote, the following would have been a bombshell report if it were true. Olena Zelenska, the First Lady of Ukraine, allegedly bought a rare Bugatti tourbillon sports car for 4.5 million euros, which would be like 4.8 million US dollars, 3.8 million pounds, I guess, while visiting Paris for D-Day commemorations in June. The source of the funds were supposedly American military aid money. The story appeared on an obscure French website just days ago and was swiftly debunked.
Okay.
Experts point out that the strange anomalies of the invoice that was posted online, a whistleblower cited in the story, appeared only in an odd. So you have this invoice kind of strangely edited. Whistleblower reveals that the whistleblower was in an oddly edited video that may have been artificially created.
Oh,
Now,
God.
yeah. So Bugatti issued a sharp denial calling it fake news, and
I
its
hate that
Paris
phrase.
dealership threatened legal action against the people behind the false story. But before the truth could even get its shoes on, the lie had gone viral. Influencers had already picked up the false story and spread it widely. One X user, the pro-Russia, pro-Donald Trump activist Jackson Hinkle, posted a link seen by more than 6.5 million people. Several other accounts spread the story to millions more X users, at least 12 million in total according to the site's metrics.
Fuck.
It was a fake story on a fake news website designed to spread widely online, with its origins in a Russia-based disinformation operation. BBC Verify first revealed last year, at which point the operation appeared to be trying to undermine Ukraine's government.
Fuck.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing about it.
So, trending crap on X is the exact thing we spoke about in prior episodes about AI creating a self-perpetuating system of garbage. Shit goes viral on X, gets summarized by AI because of an algorithm. That AI summary is extrapolated into a news article on a website, which in turn is reposted on X for clicks, outrage, and to further the virality of the article. Now, there is a reason most AI models are trained with a limited pool of data and not connected to the quote-unquote modern internet. Like early chat GPT was only training on data up through like what, 2020?
I think it was like 2 years old. I think I heard that it was like 2022, maybe 2020. Yeah. Depends on on what, who's doing the training.
Right.
Well, so not connected to like the modern internet, but it's something that Grok was deliberately trained to do by sourcing data on X. So Grok has current internet connection, basically.
Yeah.
I don't trust Musk to properly manage the threat of what Grok has introduced to the internet because of its direct association with his platform. He's temperamental, he's petty, he runs his companies in a similarly impulsive way. He's not the type to really express concern for or understand the safety of what he produces. Just look at the chaos that has ensued with like exploding Tesla batteries and the myriad of other mechanical problems associated with his arguably most successful product.
I think the Cybertruck's on its third recall.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you could be charitable and say that, one of the reasons most better AI, which is a terrible thing to say, but or you use older data sets is because I would assume they're going through and winnowing out, bad data. Like
search filter, Stormfront,
stuff.
turn off.
Yeah, search filter, Hitler was good.
Mm-hmm.
Delete.
Mm-hmm.
Search filter, N-word, delete.
Right. Wow, it's taken a long time to delete all those. So, so anyway, that's my bit here on XAI and how Elon Musk connects to this larger topic of the dead internet. Again, the internet certainly isn't dead, but Elon Musk is doing his part to drown it in the liquid feces of the AI latrine.
Ugh.
For now, though, let's take one final break. Let's kind of calm down a little bit and get into something a little more theoretical.
Okay, good, because I really need to calm down, because I am real pissed off at the internet now, and Musk in specific. So we'll be right back after this.
And welcome back to our final section. So, how are you guys feeling about AI and how it's become so intertwined with the internet so far?
Oh, angry and violent. Mike?
Sad.
It's depressing. It really is.
I was sad last time. Now I'm just mad.
Yeah, no, you've progressed from, we're in the 7 stages of grief because we're mourning the dead internet.
Yep.
We started with denial. We've been sad. You're currently at angry.
And then eventually I'll move on to acceptance.
Yeah. Well, I think by the end of this episode, we'll kind of touch on acceptance. So,
We'll see.
we'll see. So, I want to turn our attention in this last part of our episode to what got me to finally write this third take on the dead internet theory. What do you guys know about the dark forest theory?
Does this end up with porridge and some bears?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
How about you, Mike? What do you know about it?
Nothing.
Okay.
Wait,
Well,
is it the ham they said? No, it's Black Forest ham.
yeah,
My bad.
that's Black Forest ham.
Okay.
Did you guys see a little TV show on Netflix called Three Body Problem?
I didn't.
I've not
I've heard
watched
about it.
Okay. All right. Well, a lot of this is kind of based on the central metaphor for the universe as represented in Three Body Problem. We've heard about the Fermi paradox, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So part of the reason the dark forest theory is this idea that part of the reason we aren't making contact with other species is we know that there's stuff out there that could potentially hurt us, just as things out there know that we could potentially hurt them. So just imagine space as like a dark forest, and there's things creeping behind the trees and in the underbrush, watching each other without making contact. That's the basic idea. Like, if you put yourself out there, if you go into the clearing, you're food for the wolves.
You know, that does bring up the idea that when UFOs go through the neighborhood of Earth, do you think they lock their doors when they drive by?
Probably.
Okay.
So that's the dark forest theory of, like the cosmos and everything like that. Well,
Right.
if there's probably alien life out there, but it's hesitant to reach out because
It's
inevitably all civilizations at a certain point become predatory or resource hungry and will kill to get what they want. Like, that's the basic idea. So someone developed this like dark forest theory of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So in May of 2019, Yancey Strickler published a post titled The Dark Forest Theory of the Internet. The post explores the idea of the dark forest theory of the cosmos, or at least a variation of it, that anchors Liu Shizin's The Three-Body Problem and applies the model to then current internet trends. In the context of Shizin's work, the dark forest is not a sign that we are alone, but a recognition that there are things in the dark, and making ourselves present or observable is a risky endeavor. Now, in Strickler's post, the scenario is laid out as such, quote, "In response to the ads, the tracking, the trolling, the hype, and other predatory behaviors, we're retreating to our dark forests on the internet and away from the mainstream." Now, I find Strickler's view of the internet in this post pretty accurate to our collective experiences. Continuing, quote, "The internet of today is a battleground. The idealism of the 90s web is gone. The Web 2.0 utopia, where we all lived in rounded filter bubbles of happiness, ended with the 2016 presidential election, when we learned that the tools that we thought were only life-giving could be weaponized as well. The public and semi-public spaces we created to develop our identities, cultivate communities, and gain knowledge were overtaken by forces using them to gain power of various kinds: market, political, social, and so on. This is the atmosphere of the mainstream web today, a relentless competition for power. As this competition has grown in size and ferocity, an increasing number of the population has scurried into their dark forests to avoid the fray."
I have no idea what you're talking about. Hang on, I need to go post on Mastodon.
Continuing the quote, "The Web 2.0 era has been replaced by a new Web squared era, an age where we simultaneously live in many different internets, whose numbers increase hourly. The dark forests are growing." So what do you think about that? Because I'm going to kind of break down like how this is working in regards to our experience, but...
Right. I get it, and I agree. I'm curious what Mike thinks about it.
I call bullshit.
You do?
Yeah, I think the average internet user that they're not doing that. They're sticking to what they know, but that's just because they're not out there seeking more. The the internet for them is the Facebook, it is Instagram. You know, that's all it is. They're not doing it because of any kind of battleground. They're just doing it because that's all they use the internet for.
Well,
that's all they care to use the internet for.
Well, no, and I agree a lot of people aren't consciously thinking about these things, but subconsciously, look at the emergence of things like, Slack and Discord and how you create these smaller communities. We're going to get into this, but I'm going to go ahead and continue with this, but I'm very interested in like unpacking this idea a little bit more. So, as Block Magazine's Bogna Ronyor writes, quote, the dark forest theory of the internet, quote, outlines automated dynamics tied to communication. As an isolated system, it tends towards the high entropy option. Connection produces conflict. Intent, hostility, or internal benevolence do not matter once each of us is reduced to a node in the cybernetic chain of suspicion. To signal safe sociality, each user needs to be legible in her self-representational practices. Everyone needs to make themselves known. The forest system needs to be able to read us and do the other users. What's on your mind? We describe our thoughts incessantly in detail, but this legibility also means that our coordinates are exposed. We can be seen, attacked, and governed. The more detailed our descriptions are, the easier we are to govern. The more we are seen, the easier for us to become a target. So, like that right there, like the biggest thing I'm thinking of there is like social media.
Right. No, it's where we just broadcast every fucking thought we have to everybody else on the planet that's willing to listen.
Just took a shit. It was 8 inches. That sort of thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
What did you eat?
had to cut it with a spatula.
You and your fucking poop knife.
The poop knife.
We had a cut up coat hanger. God damn it.
So, this is me now. So instinctively and like culturally, I think we as internet users recognize the growing threat and toxicity of the mainstream web, and we're retreating to the undergrowth of our dedicated apps. Hell, we're recording right now through a Discord chat that sprung from a dedicated Discord channel for our show, where we and like-minded users have found relative safety in isolation from the larger web. You know, Discord is like the rotting, hollowed-out stump in the dark forest.
Okay, see, I do like this analogy because it means we're all just little gnomes and wood sprites and we just frolic all day talking about ghost monkeys and how reptilians just want to eat our sex energy.
Like it's an aesthetic. It's a vibe, man. I love it.
It is.
See, but here's the thing, because of the algorithms, nobody has to do that because it already insulates you in a bubble of your own, like-minded thoughts.
Which I agree with you there, but I think there's more to it. So let me go ahead and continue, because I'm taking note of these things that you're saying, and some of these things that I'm going to bring up, I think, respond to those things. So another term that emerged for these safe holds in the dark forest of the modern internet is the cozy web, coined by Venkatesh Rao. The cozy web is our various islands of sanity in the larger, seemingly lifeless internet that has been called the dead internet. When we approached this topic in our first episode, we spent a lot of time talking about the early days of the internet. It was more chaotic. Yeah. It was punk. It was human. Today's internet appears less so. I think we can all agree today's internet has less human quality.
It's all corpo fucks.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is necessarily the case. If we're looking at this idea of the cozy web and the dark forest, I am seeing a change in the internet that, ironically, is kind of taking us back to the early days. As Rao puts it, quote, unlike the main public internet, which runs on human protocol of users clicking on links on public apps, apps maintained by publishers, the cozy web works on the human protocol of everybody cutting and pasting bits of text, images, URLs, and screenshots across live streams. Much of this content is poorly addressable, poorly searchable, and very vulnerable to bit rot. It lives in a high gatekeeping slum-like space comprising Slacks, messaging apps, private groups, storage services like Dropbox, and of course, email. So the kind of I think the most emblematic thing that I can think of right off the top of my head is that pinned photo we have of Prince Charles's sausage fingers.
God damn it. I wish you hadn't brought that up.
But like, you see what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, no, it's sharing the shit we find from the larger web on our little community.
It's like we're the borrowers going out into the dark forest and grabbing like stuff from the humans and bringing it back to our tree stump.
Well, if that's true, if we're the littles, then Mike's the pilot guy, and I'm Grandpa.
Here's the thing: that's not a new concept, though. That's been around since BBS, MSN.
Oh yeah, news groups,
ICQ,
forums.
Something awful forums. It's just.
I don't think they're arguing that it's a new concept. I think they're trying to find a way to like articulate it because like
the way it was sounding at first was making it sound like, oh, because of all the corpo fucks going on, people are retreating to these new concepts when it's not. They're not retreating to new concepts. They're just continuing the same kind of internet activity they always had.
I don't think that's kind of what they're going for. Like I don't think that they're saying it's a new thing. I think we're seeing I guess maybe like you can call it like a reemergence, or you could see like an increase of this tendency in reaction to this dead internet thing that's going on. You know what I mean? Where it's like, no, this is something that has existed in internet culture.
Well, it says in response to the ads, the tracking, the trolling,
I think when they
predatory behaviors, we're retreating to our dark forest of the internet.
Parsing
that makes
as
it sound
a
like
writer, parsing it as a writer, I think they're not saying that it's a direct. I think what they're saying is that it's the increase of these things, like the ads and the tracking and everything like that, that's spurring on. Because it's also part of the context of a larger article, and the impression I was getting is that like it's not necessarily like this is a new thing and they're trying to position it as a new thing. They're trying to come up with new language to talk about it.
But the in response to says that that they're doing this as a causal and effect. But when it's not really, I mean, the tribalism of the internet is something that's been around since the internet immemorial.
Like, no, I get what you're saying. It's probably because it's written in a way, because this is from someone who is not like a writer. You know what I mean? This is a person who's like a tech consultant and everything like that. So I it's one of those things where it's like I read enough student essays to like read between the lines here. Because a lot of it is also this person trying to like market this idea to kind of become associated with repackaging something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't know.
But we can probably at least agree that like this is with this current dead internet thing that we're talking about, the emergence of AI, all the tracking, the marketing and stuff like that, people are increasingly turning back to these private spaces. Can we at least agree with that?
They've always had them.
Well, yeah, they always have, but
I don't think they're increasingly doing it. They're just continuing their trends.
I mean, okay. I mean, that's fair. It's more noticeable now, or people are being more vocal about it or something. Okay.
And like I said, the average internet user isn't doing this. They go on there for Facebook and they have their Facebook groups or whatever. They go on Instagram for their Instagram followers. They don't have, a little, village of gnomes that they trade stuff with. They have just the people they know in their lives. Maybe they do, send text messages, but the average internet user sees only a small corporate section of the web.
But this is also a write-up done by someone for his specific community of like-minded people. So he's writing to a specific audience.
Your 90 percentile internet user.
Right. And, it could be that that's changing as well. Maybe more people are getting fed up and,
So, I work with and see a lot of people that, just they're very surface level internet users. Mm-hmm. Like they're, what you'd call salt of the earth people. They don't delve deeply into it, so they don't have to have these more niche communities in the internet.
But you know, the reason Discord's so big is because people started like using it. You know what I mean? So it's like people are finding these things and using them, and I
it's just another MSN or another ICQ.
Yeah.
It's another, community that had it happened to have more features than what came before it, so it became more popular.
Right. I mean that's fair. I'm relaying the information as I found it, and then I am admittedly reading between the lines here because I read like the full article, and then I also kind of recognize like I see the thought process here.
Yeah, but I mean, and I could be wrong. Maybe I am wrong, but it just feels to me like it's. I mean, maybe I've just been doing it this way for so long that it just seems natural.
It's always been a thing, right? IRC, we used to like do the chat rooms and stuff like that. Like these things have always existed, but people, I think the heart of this thing is that like they're recognized that people, more and more people are increasingly turning to these smaller, more niche platforms because they are seeing the toxicity of the larger mainstream web. I think that's the main idea here. And it doesn't mean everybody, it doesn't mean 90% of people, but there's definitely an increasing community reacting. It's just like how piracy goes up with the number of streaming services that are introduced. Like the layman TV viewer isn't going to like know how to go to Pirate Bay or whatever and download the season. But the people who are in the know, who've already been doing this, are more likely to do it because they recognize, well, I don't want to pay $70 a month for different streaming services. Does that make sense?
A little bit, but I still don't fully agree with it.
No, and then that's fair. What do you think, Kevin? Break the tie.
No, I actually kind of agree with both y'all. I mean, like, I do think it's happening. It seems to be happening more, but I do agree with Mike that we've always been really tribal on the internet because humanity is not really built to be a global species. We got like this giant thing that connects everybody, and the first thing we did was and start, making little places to talk about Star Trek and stuff, and we tribalized.
And
what we do as a species.
Well, and the quote even mentions like messaging apps, which have been around for 2 decades now.
Oh, more like
So like I think that inherent in the discussion, there's that recognition. There's a recognition of like this is something that's always existed. It's just we're trying to find new ways to talk about this. And this theory of like the forest, the dark forest, this idea of the cozy web is a way to kind of explain trends that have existed, continue to exist, and appear to be increasing through metaphor. Anyway, so
no, it's cool.
Great discussion. I love it.
Like I said, I just don't think it may be increasing or decreasing, but I don't think it's like a causal trend. It's more of just that's what people do. Like things get popular, then things get less popular.
Yeah,
and
so like I could totally see that, and I'm with you on that. Now, the earliest form of the internet was a series of private networks interlinked. Internets composed of intranets. Now we've kind of returned to the private networks constructed from human influence. We use our various platforms like Discord and Slack, but we have our little we have these little outposts in this larger web. We also have things like Gmail and Blue Sky, that sort of thing. But when it gets down to it, we've each been constructing our own individual intranets, and they're as populated as we make them. So, like the way that we, link our different things. Like, I have a website that has a link to my different socials. It has a link to a Discord and everything like that. Like, this is something that everybody that like the internet has been doing. People on the internet have been doing this for a long time, right? I feel like it's becoming more relevant than ever as we see this AI kind of sludge wash over the internet.
So what you're saying, it's time to bring back the web ring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we're gonna get to the end here. So like, I don't think the internet is dead. I never really did. But the dead internet theory has taken hold because there is something fundamentally wrong with the internet today.
You don't say.
Yeah. Like, we know a couple of things for sure. Yes, bots are heavily active on the internet and make up the majority of traffic and back end of what we consider to be the internet. This is just a byproduct of the system that the internet, of the system that is the internet, and has been increasingly gamed by companies. Many of these bots collect information, and this information has been used to hurt us. We also know that this information is used to influence us, which is probably why the internet can feel so empty. The algorithms and automation create an internet experience devoid of the spontaneity and ingenuity that made up the internet of the 1990s. Everything feels the same. Everything feels like it's on a loop. The same outrage bait, the same things meant to like pull us in, distract us, and expose us to capitalistic interests. The patterns become so rote that it feels like the web is on autopilot.
So you said something in your previous point. Took me a second to form my thought.
Mm-hmm.
You said the information has been used to hurt us. I'd say more of exploit us.
Well, I think you can exploit someone and that ultimately can hurt them.
Well, yeah, but I think exploit doesn't necessarily mean hurt. I
get what you're saying.
Because I don't think I've ever been hurt, but I definitely know I've been, my information's been exploited.
Like, I know it's been harder for me to get writing jobs because of people turning to AI.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, you were hurt. True.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I'm speaking kind of generally here. Now, we also know that this collection of data is used to create content, and that content is regularly being generated by machine learning algorithms, resulting in a torrent of sludge that further isolates us from the larger internet because it perpetuates a lot of the same problems that we've just covered seconds ago. However, that does not mean we haven't begun to adapt and we are unable to fight back. We recognize the friction and this displaced feeling of the internet meant to connect us and the increasing isolation we feel. In turn, we have sought shelter in the smaller internets we make for ourselves. And what that says to me is that it's like that punk spirit present in the early decade of the internet can make a return as long as we strive to embody it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So we turn to smaller apps and niche startup services, a sort of human internet, a network unique to each of us that links to other networks of real people. We need to keep that up. We need to take this punk mindset and create our own spaces and link them to one another, person to person. We need to leverage the automation and linking of the wasteland web, but we need to not rely on it or measure ourselves by the output of a bunch of algorithms funded by billionaire assholes. We need to use the tools of the enemy in the act of resistance. We can take advantage of SEO, X, or whatever app or platform Silicon Valley squirts out to control us, but we need to make it fucking weird. We need to flood our spaces with chaos and culture and continue to forge those person-to-person connections that replicate that 90s internet. Boys, we need to seize the means of production. Anyway, thoughts?
Can I get mine out real quick?
Okay.
I just want to say that I mostly agree. I think what we're seeing is people on both sides of the social arena sort of getting fed up with being advertised at and manipulated. If you ask most people, they don't want a social or societal revolution. They don't want to pick up a machete and bolt cutters. But if there's a way they can fuck with Meta or X, I think a lot of people will be willing to fight back in some small way. I mean, the Fediverse is a good example of that. Meta fought like hell to get Threads federated, and as soon as they realized what that meant, they straight up blocked every other instance in the Fediverse. And I'm kind of excited for a true digital revolution. Like, I'm starting a new website on neocities.org, which is basically, hey, remember GeoCities? Mm-hmm. Let's do that.
Is that where GeoCities crossed with Neopets?
Oh, God, that would be great. But that's my thought. I'm looking forward to a digital revolution if it comes.
Mm-hmm. So here's the problem with the internet and its, tools.
It was
is
a
that
mistake.
if it's publicly traded at all, it's prone to enshittification
Mm-hmm.
because boards of directors and stockholders, they don't care about long-term good. They want them sweet, sweet short-term profits.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm sort of getting fed up with Discord because every, you know, quarter or so, there's like new pushes to get Nitro and get,
Mm-hmm.
pay them money and do this. I mean, I understand they got to make money, but you don't have to be such, fuckos about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
today I just got hit with like a thing. Hey, play a video game while you have Discord activated on a console, and you get a helmet for your Discord avatar. I'm like, what the fuck?
yeah. So uh, it's just, I
Well,
don't
and
know. It's
well, and
tiring, especially for someone that doesn't have a whole lot of money to throw around.
and the thing is, like, Discord isn't the first of its kind, and it
Oh yeah,
certainly won't be the last. You know what I mean? Eventually, Discord will become so enshittified that someone's going to come up with something else. I don't know. We'll call it anarchy or something like that,
yeah.
and we'll move to that.
Problem is, I'd have to get all these servers again, and convince everybody to move, and
The same thing happened with like once the Fediverse popped up and people were moving off of X. Just
yeah.
the internet today, it's kind of like the wasteland of Mad Max. We're all just kind of
You
like
know what?
scrapping for gasoline.
You know what we need? It would be very easily exploited. Unfortunately, you'd have to have some kind of like authentication system. There
Mm-hmm.
needs to be like an internet passport where you could easily move between these domains. So like say the
Mm-hmm.
new Discord came up and there was this new thing. Well, you could somehow, just, click on it, sign in or whatever, and it could, figure out all those links that you already had there.
Yeah.
Like, say, your friends, like, say, friends X, Y, and Z are already on this new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it knows you know them, so therefore they're automatically your friends again. I mean, like I say, this is something
Yeah.
that could be horrendously exploited,
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yeah. No.
But
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just
but
thinking
that
of like, oh god, that's a lot of data.
but you're seeing what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
There's so much friction to new
Mm-hmm.
things that it can be very daunting to want to move to a new platform.
That's why one of the if I were to give anyone a piece of advice of like being online, having a presence in the digital era, my piece of advice would be this: pay the $10 or $15 a year to make your own website. Have your own website with your own links, your own stuff, something that you can update as things inevitably change. The minute Discord becomes a complete shit show and you move on to something else, you change out a link. I just think in the business world you need a business card. I think as people in the modern world today, every single person should have a website, and I'm not talking about having a Facebook profile or whatever.
Yeah.
You need to have an actual website. There's websites that will allow you to create these things for free on the cheap, that sort of thing, and just make your own little weird ass corner of the internet that has your stuff that you can update so you always have your little caravan in the wasteland.
So yeah, but still that would require me say, I have 20 people that I cannot stop, talking to.
Mm-hmm.
They're the required people in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And a new thing comes out and I, sign up for that. Well,
Yeah.
I have to go find each of their things unless they've directly messaged me and said, "Hey, we're on this. Here's my, link." I have to find, either inbuilt tools in the new platform, like search for their username or their email address or whatever.
Right.
Or I have to like you said, if they had a web page that had all their stuff, I'd have to go to each of these 20 people's web pages and see, oh, they have it. Okay, click their link. And maybe if you're lucky, clicking that link would immediately add them.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to okay, well, they spelled their name differently in this one, so I need to search for that name. And it just, you see the friction there.
No, I totally agree with you, but that also, like, I mean, that's the reality of this internet, you know?
Yeah, and that's what, but like I say,
Because
like,
if you were to make a system like the one that that, like, I feel like you're trying to propose,
yeah,
that's just feeding into that larger dead internet problem at the same time, and you're still.
So what if it had like authentication? Like, say I joined this thing and it said, okay, you know all these people. Do you want to like connect with them? And you say yes. Well, then those 20 people now have to get a pop up and say, hey, so and so just joined and he wants to add you. Do you want to add them? And then they have to say yes, or
Like,
they could say no.
I can see where you're going with that, but I want to counter that by saying it inevitably would be like OpenAI that puts it together, and we're right back where we started.
No,
Like
it didn't have to be.
they get the money or whatever to do that, to create that system, and it's still like the data.
It'd be like a person version of SSL certificates.
I mean, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Sure.
But it would take someone. It would take one, someone willing to do it. Two, someone willing to fund it, and three, them willing to not monetize it and shit it all up, which is big ask. So anyway, so as far as
Mike, do you have a website?
I don't really.
Then you should make one. Kevin, you have a website.
Yes.
I have a website.
Yeah.
Mike,
I'm
make yourself a
actually
website.
going to work on making a better version of my website.
Yeah. And it honestly gets pretty fun, especially when you start like just putting whatever the fuck you want. Like, make it weird. Make your own Ate My Balls page.
Oh God, Mr. T ate my balls.
Yeah, no, literally. Let's bring back the Ate My Balls website.
So I did want to hit on though the end of AI as what was outlined in the Adam Conover podcast.
Absolutely.
It has hard limits so far that we can see, in that power usage for these systems is incredibly high. Like I said with Google, they're like 50% higher power usage, but also they're just going to run out of data, and the Ouroboros can't survive on its own poop. And they've also, like you said, they have also plateaued. So I don't know.
Like, I think like AI isn't going away anytime soon.
So unlike crypto, and also that's another thing is I noticed the AI burnout has been way faster than crypto. Notice crypto was around and still making waves for 2-3 years,
Right.
and admittedly the pandemic kind of helped lengthen that.
Yeah.
But so it was going for a good while, whereas AI, we're already talking about it basically plateauing.
Well, and it's because they kept trying to throw it into fucking everything.
Oh, yeah.
And it just it doesn't work. Like, where AI is useful, yeah, that's gonna stick around because, hey, the AI is fucking useful. But if my goddamn Wendy's drive-through doesn't need an AI system to take my goddamn biggie bag order.
No, and yeah, whereas crypto had some niche use cases, AI has a more broad use case. But yeah, everybody doesn't need access to an AI chatbot.
Yeah.
Like, if they had like AI that could not hallucinate and do certain jobs well, yes, everybody would have a need to instance. Say if you needed medical attention and there was a trusted non-hallucinating AI chatbot that could help you get those first steps, out of the way, like, what kind of doctor you needed to see, what, is this an emergency, all that. But that would take a vetted system that wasn't going to endanger people's lives. And the same thing if, there's just plenty of things I can think of where, a AI chatbot could be beneficial, but it has to be trusted, and we cannot trust them in the foreseeable future.
It's also the thing about trying to put like a square peg in a round hole, because where they're trying to place these AI AI tools have their place in certain things, and they don't belong in certain things. So, for example, like AI to do grunt work for certain database stuff, like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it, that works. AI used for creative shit,
Oh no.
that does not work. And I have this quote because there were so many articles that I wanted to talk about in this, but here's a quote from OpenAI's Mira Murati, who says, "Some creative jobs maybe will go away, but maybe they shouldn't have been there in the first place."
Ugh.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck
I heard
you.
that one. That one is gross as hell.
Yeah, and it's the way that AI has
So-
been used recently is throwing it in like the most vindictive way.
So, yeah, that's people that aren't creative that are bitter about it, trying to like not deplatform, but de-emphasize creatives. I heard it once said that I wanted robots to free me from my 9 to 5 grind so I could work on art. I didn't want robots to take the art so I could focus on my 9 to 5 grind.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's putting the cart well before the horse and kind of like putting the cart on top of the horse's head with like 20 tons of weight in the cart.
And like we've dunked on AI a lot. I don't know if either of the three of us are fundamentally against AI on principle.
Oh, no.
No, just what they're doing with it right now.
They're just throwing giant turds of AI at the wall and hoping some of it will stick so they can get some sweet money. And that's the other thing is that this big AI push is really because the tech industry has no ideas how to generate stockholder value. Like they, Meta, Google, they've all plateaued. Like they don't have any new ideas, so they latched onto AI to give their investors something to like cheer about and be like, yes, they have the answers, but they don't.
Like for the people who are listening to the episode, please reach out to us. I want to like know some of your thoughts on this stuff.
Yeah,
I want to
give
know
us
what you
your
think about the
opinions.
dead internet. Reach out to us, team at supernaturalselectionpodcast.com. But
Pod.
also supernaturalselectionpod.com, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
And also like let us know if you want us to cover kind of like the kind of quasi-religious element of Silicon
Techbros.
Valley as well, because I would love to like look into that because I think there's a lot of interesting discussion. It kind of veers off, but kind of not, because it is quasi-religious. It's like a modern day cult.
I know Kevin hasn't, but David, did you ever watch Silicon Valley?
I fucking loved that show.
That's very, very telling of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the grow or die mentality is basically why we have this AI push, because
And
it's something they're trying to grow, and well,
We don't want it to grow. So
so I think that's it. Like I don't have any more to add, gentlemen.
Do you want me to ramble some more? I can ramble some more.
I mean, you can, or we can always save it for another
He's
topic.
gonna fade out.
I don't want Kevin to like strangle me because he's tired, and wants to go Betty bye.
It is late.
Yes, it is.
But that has been a hell of an episode. I knew this was going to be a long one because the topic.
Yeah.
And I get quiet because it's like my technological knowledge sort of fades out, and I'm like, I don't know enough to have opinions on some of this stuff. But
Oh, I'm a fucking Luddite, and I still talk. That's my problem.
yeah. Well, anyway, I want to say, David, first off, thank you for the episode. There's a good outline. We had a lot of fun talking about it, and I'm looking forward to our next one. So, woo! So, thank you, everyone, for listening. Mike, do you have anything you want to plug?
No.
Okay. David, do you have anything you want to plug?
I'm just tired. I'm going to plug my mouth with a popsicle or something.
Okay. Well, I've got a shitty website, disasterboy.neocities.org, and all it is a link to my comics, my blog, and the podcast. So, yeah, that's my plug.
There you go.
So, thank you everyone for listening. If you would like to find out more about the show, you can head to supernatpod.rocks. That is supernatpod.rocks. You find a link to our Discord, our Patreon, our store, and any information you might actually need to find. You can contact us there. We are still looking for advertisers if you're interested. So, that's about it. So until next time, stay safe and stay frosty. Goodbye.
Can I get a fuck Elon Musk from the chat?
I was just about to say fuck Elon Musk. That was literally what I was going to say to close it out.
Dude, why? Why would you want to fuck Elon Musk? Ugh,
Apparently he'll buy you a horse. That's a whole other story.
Oh, wow. I don't want a horse. He would give the one animal that's capable of hate.
I don't know. There's plenty of hateful animals, but the horses especially so.
Yeah, the horse is a special case. Fuck Elon Musk and fuck horses.
God, you really are kinky, aren't you?
Yep.